Hi, welcome to High Road 2. This is Mark Stouffer, and I'm going to give you 4 points that really helped me overcome and thrive, and not just my career, but also my business journey. And I want to tell you that I went through some very painful experiences in my life that were completely preventable. But until I had this mindset, if you will, it really, put a huge weight on my chest. Waking up every day with like a 50-pound weight on your chest is not something I want anybody to experience. So I want to help you avoid that at all costs. And I'll share that story with you at the end of this video. But now I want to share the 4 points that really made a difference in my life, and not just my career life, but my business life. And that is this. Number 1 is that you have to have a marketing mindset. You are a marketing company. You just happen to be in the blank industry. Now, you are the brand. When I say you're a marketing company, you are the brand. But if you have a company, that's also the brand. You're branding that company, that product and or service into the marketplace. So it's either you individually and or the company that you own. Now, the other is that when you are a marketing company, it's not a budget. It's an investment. That's what it is. An investment of your time and your resources that you're putting out there. And the only purpose of a business, or the only purpose of you getting a career, is to acquire a client or to get the job. There's only 2 things involved there, right? And then the other is that it's measurable. You want to measure what you're doing. What helps with that is testing. Testing is very easy to do, and you want to constantly test and measure. And then when you get traction and you realize the response rate, be it 1% or 44% or 50%, it's basically your ability to balance what is going to work most as you scale yourself or your products and services. So number 1 is your marketing mindset. Okay. Number 2 is that it's an investment, not a budget. Number 3, that it is measurable through effective testing. Okay. And then also, more importantly, it's going to a pre-qualified audience, okay? It's going to an industry that you're very attracted to, that hopefully is thriving, hopefully that it's sustainable, right? For a very long time. But if it's a business or it's industry that you know it's going to survive, the disruptions that are happening potentially in AI right now, right? So I constantly pivoted throughout my entire life in both my career and also my business ventures. And this foundation, these 4 principles: marketing, agency, mindset, measurable. It was an investment, not a budget. It was measurable, and it was tested constantly. And then you have a pre-qualified audience that you're going after. And that lowers your costs per acquisition, or it lowers your cost transition from one industry or one company to another. So with that, those 4 things really made all the difference. It gave me a foundation to overcome and thrive. And I'll tell you some stories at the end of this video that really drive this point home that will probably resonate with a lot of people today as things are getting more and more disruptive and more quickly with AI. So when I worked in the Silicon Valley, I was in the .com industry, heavily invested in the .com industry as a marketing consultant. And fortunately, I was able to work with, government, prime contractors, the federal government, high-tech companies. I was able to work with transportation industries, and I was able to pivot constantly from one client to another. But I'll tell you that what was my ability to be sought after was my branding efforts. I didn't want to be a peddler as a branding consultant. I wanted to be a consultant, as a marketing agency. And so positioning myself in that regard really made an impact in being sought after. But there was a lot of clients that really didn't appreciate the value of my time. And not only did they disrupt my life, they disrupted the company culture. Okay. And I want to tell you, there's 3 things that if you own a company and you're trying to navigate, growing and scaling, is that you have marketing. Okay. And then you have the operations, the brick and mortar, if you will, that I had. And then you have the service. Okay. And so the balance of those 3 things really was critical, but a client could disrupt that so quickly, right? When they don't pay on time and you're trying to get your invoices paid, and they're going 90, 120 days out, and then they're calling and they're, upset about something and disrupting your staff. Well, that's what happened to me. And what I learned is that if you become really proficient and skillful, and you're in that demand as you keep branding yourself, then there's a point where you stop that investment of branding yourself because you're at full capacity. And that's why I encourage people to work on their business, not in their business, if they own a business, because it can't depend on you. Because if it does, you own a job, you don't have a company. And there's no equity, because if it depends on you, and this is what happened to me, is that there was a point where I wanted to sell my company and I couldn't get anybody to buy me out. They wanted to acquire me, but basically become affiliates under their umbrella, right? So that was a hard lesson to learn. So basically what the point is that as I learned how to pivot and have this mindset that I was a marketing company first and foremost, that whatever I did was an investment, not a budget. The other is that it was measurable, and it's measurable because you test. You create small tests with your cover letter, your resume. If you're looking for a new career path in a new different industry, you're constantly changing the vernaculars to meet the company and or the industry that you're going after. If you're a business owner, okay, you're sending marketing material out there to a very specific list, and that brings up my fourth very important criteria, is that it's a pre-qualified list. So now I'm in the pet care industry, right? And I look at acquisition, and I look at the address, and I look at a 10-mile radius, and then I look at who owns a dog in that 10-mile radius, and then who makes between $75,000 and $250,000 a year. That's my list. Now, what's interesting about this is that if I capture 4%, 5% of that list, I'm at full capacity. So it's a pretty well calculated, reverse engineered approach to my marketing endeavor, right? And so what I did was I would send out 50 postcards to that list, to basically the same criteria. So I might send out 4 postcards. That'd be 200 postcards total. And then I would change the picture or the headline statement, the copy, the offer, and I would measure the response rate. And I'd say, oh, wow, this one got 1%. This one got 7%. Oh, this one got 12%. This one got 44%. Oh, wow. I'm going for the 44%. Now, I can't mail the whole list, right? Because it's 3,025 people. And I would make a lot of people very unhappy knowing that I'm going to get a 44% response rate. Because if you get a 44% response rate on 50, you're going to get that the same on 100 or 1,000 or 3,000. So I knew that I had to balance my marketing that would balance my operations and then my service, my staff, right? And to create that balance is critically important. Marketing, operations, staff. So think about In-N-Out Burger, right? They open the doors and they have a line. And at the end of the day, they have to stop people and say, okay, this is the last customer we're going to serve. They have to turn people away. Now, in order to have balance in that operation, they have to have 20 people in that kitchen, right? And everybody's happy. So that's a really good example of where you want to be in your business or in your life. And so basically, I'll tell you that where I had a lot of pain and suffering is as a marketing consultant, I had well over 100 clients, and I was, they were calling me, and I was always, it was on demand, and I wasn't happy. I didn't have balance in my life because it depended so much on me. But what also was critically important to acknowledge and realize is that the reason I wasn't happy is because there's a lot of clients that just didn't really appreciate the value of my time. And, a lot of them wouldn't pay, their invoices, say for 90, 120 days out and 160 days out. And I have to constantly nag them to pay me what was owed. And then the other was that they would call my office and demand things and disrupt my staff. So I had to learn the hard way, and I narrowed that over 150 client or 100 client list down to say 25. And I'll tell you, I have found balance in my life. I worked a lot less and made a lot more. And you really can't put a price tag on, waking up every day, looking forward to your work and working with people that appreciate you. So, I hope this resonates with you. I hope it finds you well. And, a lot of industries are getting disrupted, a lot of high tech, and a lot of people are getting laid off. But I regret that it took about 2 years for me to take this 50-pound weight off my chest, and realizing that having this mindset, this marketing mindset, knowing that it's investment, knowing that it's measurable, knowing that I'm going after a pre-qualified audience, changed my life and really gave me the great balance that I have today. So with that, I hope this message finds you well. Thank you for watching High Road to You content, and this is where you take action. Nothing happens without action. Please share your story on how you incorporated nutrition, physical and social activity, how you incorporated accountability in your life, how you didn't ignore, you didn't deny, you didn't blame, but you pivoted through a difficult challenge in your life. And how did you build that foundation to overcome and thrive? And I hope this content allows you to enjoy the journey of that, right? That would be the biggest blessing for me. Share your story, share your milestones, encourage and inspire others. And with that, I wish you well.